There you go.
Okay. Here it is. Okay. So I need to share the screen,
Yep, your co-host.
share the second screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see the second screen now?
Yeah, now we can. Yeah.
Okay. So the meeting announcement is pursuit of the three kinds of resilience will be the focus of tonight's meeting. So I think that resilience is real important, particularly in light of the fact that the last few days was the 20th anniversary of Katrina. And we certainly didn't fare too well. And there were quite a few things going on that helped commemorate the event. And one of them was this Netflix thing, Katrina Come Hell and High Water. I'm going to jump to it for a moment, literally a moment, to show you one little piece of it. So this is the Netflix thing. Hopefully it's going to open up. I don't know what holds the show. Okay. All right. So
we're looking at New Orleans in the 21st century as a city in peril, trying to find.
Okay. So this is a famous professor who is featured in the third of the series. And as you can see from the bottom, it says Katrina, Come Hell and High Water, episode 3, entitled God Takes Care of Fools and Babies. And I've specifically moved the time stamp to 35 minutes in, because here we're going to talk about resilience, and we're going to jump right into this big mistake that was made by people who do not understand buildings. So let me just jump in right here. Before I do that, I want to make sure you understand where I'm going with this. So let's see, right here. So the talk is about resilience, and there's three kinds. So the resilience that the city council focused on in their recent docket was about making sure we have enough electricity after a storm so we can keep the lights on and the refrigerators running. As that is important, it pales in comparison to the issue that we're currently talking about, which is the one featured in this part of the Netflix movie about building buildings right, and when they weren't built right, how did it really hurt people? So we're going to be talking about that. And the third kind of resilience is resilience against climate change. And those are the three kinds of resilience we're going to talk about tonight. And the content that we get to choose from is way, way more than we could ever play in an hour. In fact, just one of these, of the three Netflix things, is almost an hour by itself. And then there's also this thing that I gave you a poor link to, which is the energy efficient homes. I was giving this talk. So I'm going to jump around a little bit in here until we sort of find our place. And then I'm going to open up for questions. So,
Myron, but before you
yeah.
Has his hand raised.
Okay, what's that?
Well, the stuff that I would find most potent on this takes about 5 minutes to present.
I don't want you to tell us about climate change right now. I know
Oh
you
no,
can.
and it's a trifecta
Oh,
because what I'm really calling for is people to monitor this stuff.
Okay, well, we're not doing that tonight. We hardly have time for what's on the agenda. Okay, so just join the agenda and comment on this agenda. And then if we run out of time of things to do and we have time to go, you can do your thing. But I don't think we're going to have even enough time.
I'm definitely interested, Tor, just to let you know. So yeah, what Myron's done with this,
Yeah, you can tell us more
we'll make
about.
sure to put it on the agenda, at some point.
Okay, so as I said, there are two videos. I asked you to watch two videos, a real estate listing and a short Word document. And it comes down to what we can do in our homes. So I actually was asked to present to the New Orleans Preservation Resource Center about 4.5 years ago. And the video is here, although unfortunately the link that's not the link to it because it doesn't tell you where to go. But I actually do have it dialed up over here. So this is the actual presentation. And I also have it, let's see, so I'm gonna come back to this timestamp, which is about almost 3 minutes before the end of the meeting. So let me just go to the beginning of it to show you what happened. So, as I said, I was asked to speak, and that was the title of the talk, and energy efficiency in older New Orleans homes. And it starts with introductions by this person here who's I'm sorry, I don't know the name, and her supervisor, and they talk, and then they eventually let me talk. And what I do is I take a Word document which collected all the questions. So here's the same Word document that I put together for the talk. And you'll see that there are 7 questions, let's see, a total of 17 questions they asked me to talk about. And I was given a hint as to which one was most important. And so I talked about the first 3 first, and then pretty much ran out of time. But by the time I finished the next 3, then we got some Q&A. So the question that was asked most often is, what's the single biggest improvement you can make to improve the energy efficiency of your home? And I quickly say that energy efficiency is not the right question. The right question is sort of resilience, which is what all these words together sort of come together. Reliability, comfort, safety, durability, and less bets. And do that for less money, and you can get a negative carbon footprint. We can do all of that in a home. And energy efficiency is clearly the first step, but it's not the end of it. We can do all of that. So I start to explain it. I'm going to give a little bit of a snippet of how I start to explain it, and you're going to see it's very comprehensive, but it's also very time consuming. So we're going to get into a little bit over here and show you how I start off, and we'll sort of play it from wherever we are in here. So, okay. I don't know why it's going slow. I do not know why. Okay. Come on, this is possible.
Well, you can press the play button or you can refresh.
Oh, you're right. I forgot to press the play
A
button.
company called Building Science Innovators. I'd like to thank Susan Leonarding.
Good
Look at all that means.
You have to make it big screen
But
if you want.
we're going to focus on the energy efficiency upgrade part. To get a taste of success right at the beginning with a Wi-Fi controlled, super energy efficient heat pump water heater and see how far it takes us. And then we'll make your home tighter with 1/3. Make your home tighter with 1/3 natural air changes per hour and very well insulated. I'm getting some hearing in the background. I don't know why. And make your home effectively built on a slab. So I'm going to do that with a series of graphics. And these graphics literally come from links on this page. So I'm going to minimize this size again and show you where the links are so you can find them yourself. So this is one of the links we're going to go to, Air Seal Your Home. And we're going to go that afterwards, but I'm going to go there first so you can see what I'm talking about. Let's see. Go up to 16 on this. And this is a link right here. Air Seal Your Home is an active link, as well as very well insulated, as well as use membranes. But before I go there, I want to show you an important graphic. So this is a graphic from the Florida Solar Energy Center. And it's talking about reference homes. This is talking about a brand new home that's code compliant in Florida. And Florida is one of the strictest building codes in the country, and they've had building codes longer than almost every place else in the country. And they have very energy efficient homes. Yet the homes in northern Florida and southern Florida are very different. You can see that there's a lot more cooling in Miami than there is in Tallahassee. And we're more like Tallahassee. We're pretty much the same latitude. So think about the graph on the left. So what does this graph say? What this says is that of all the money you spend on electricity or gas to cool and heat your home, this is how it's broken up. Namely, about 1/6 is water heating, and 1/6 is cooling, and 1/6 is cooling your heating your house, and then maybe 1/7 is on refrigeration, and then the dryer, and then the stove, the lights, etc. Now, this turns out not to be your curve if you have an old home, or your pie chart, because this is a new home built on a slab, very energy efficient, not leaky, namely not an old New Orleans home. And to think about what this home would be, to give a perspective, this water heating slice right here of the pie is somewhere between $200 and $300. For example, if you have an electric water heater, you might spend over $350 for hot water. If you have a gas water heater, it might be half that. So this is averaging around $200. To give you an idea what all these numbers stand for. However, I'm sure your cooling bill is a lot more than $200 or $300, and that's because you have a leaky home and it's not on a slab. And we're going to see if we can make your home act as if it's not leaky. It is well insulated and it's on a slab, and that's what we're going to focus on next. But this part of the pie chart, the cooling and heating, is probably around 60% of your bill in New Orleans because you have a leaky home not on a slab. And I'm going to explain how we do that. So first of all, I want to tell you what I promised. Remember, I said I want to get your home at 80% more energy efficient than it was before. And the first thing I recommend, since it was asked what's the most energy efficient thing you can do, is buy this water heater. This is a water heater that's 4 times as efficient as the one that you have, which means that $200 cost for water heating will now go down to $50. And it costs under $1,400, but you get $700 in rebates, which means you get it for $700. And
I purposely stopped the thing at this time. Okay, and I want to go back to
Yep, in the bottom right, you can minimize the,
Yeah.
there you
I
go.
want to go back to this and get you a sense of where we're coming from and where we're going to. So where I go next in the talk is I show a picture of what happens when we look at our old home. So let's go back to that part of the talk. Let's see if I can get there. Let's see. I seem to have jumped out of the talk. Let's go back to here. Let's see.
Is that it?
No, this is somewhere else.
Oh, you might want to, yeah, press back. I think.
applying to DOE for
Okay.
opportunity to
Here
spend
it is.
$7 million,
So
contact me,
I want
and
to
I'll see
show,
what I can do. I'm going to address these questions when they're home,
so
and
after we did the
Mickey,
pie chart
namely
stuff,
not in a water heater. This is a water heater that's 4 times as efficient.
You can make it big as
So you
well.
go
so
in
you dump
around
some
your
up
set
if you want.
cavities, namely up the wall here.
so I want to point this out. So this is a part of the slide talk where we talk about what an old home looks like and all these various defects. So it leaks around the windows and the attic vents and the this thing which I described sort of like a pocket door. And I go a little further and talk about a little bit more, jump a little bit further down to it. And I say, okay, we want to fix all these things. And I show lots of technologies. And the technologies that are described include putting plastic into the insulation, tightening the windows, putting a radiant barrier under the roof. But one of the biggest ones is enclosing the crawl space. All those are explained in pretty good detail over and over again. And even at the Q&A at the end, people say, well, how do I insulate under my house? And I say, you use a closed crawl space. And then I say, well, how do you know, how can you get your insulation working super well? You encapsulate it into membranes, and that's explained in here too. I'll jump to that part where we talk about the membranes, okay? So, let's see. This is about enclosing the crawl space, and they show you that a home that doesn't have an enclosed crawl space, The humidity goes very low. It jumps all over the place with an enclosed crawl space. Very big deal in New Orleans. Okay, so you want to enclose a crawl space. Not only that, the ground below the home is around 71 degrees year round. So why would you want to insulate your house from that? It keeps it cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter. So I actually go through a description of studying a average balloon frame home in New Orleans. This is how we build them if they're balloon frame, which is we stopped doing that over 100 years ago. And I showed how you might do an enclosed crawl space. And this is a work in progress. I'm skipping because there's too much to explain. Then I go back and explain if I make the home tighter and I make it effectively built on a slab because I've closed the bottom of the home. The open crawl space is now closed. I'm moving it toward this scenario and getting the energy bill way lower. And this is all explained in extensive detail in an hour and 40-minute video, which is what we had a chance to look at. And then I get close to the end of the video over here, and I want to show you, because these are the various things about why you shouldn't use air conditioners that are ducted. You instead should go with ductless mini split, and I explain why, because all these kinds of moisture problems that can occur and can be avoided. Even efflorescence, which damages brick. And then I explain this is the kind of cooling system you want. And I'm not going to do it now because if I did it now, I would spend similar amount of time I did for that talk and spend an hour and 40 minutes. What I want to do is get to the very end of the talk because it touches on the resilience issue we were talking about. Okay, but that previous picture shows that a heat pump water heater is really an air conditioner on a tank, and that's why it works 4 times better. But again, getting back to this picture again and again, how you make the house tighter. Making the house tighter is far more important than anything else. And okay, so I said that you need to do it, and then what, this is where the stripping example explained here. And then at the end of the talk, is what I want to get to right now, there was a sort of little bit of a Q&A, and let's see, trying to get to the end of the talk over here. And they were talking about, and by the way, this is on our my Building Science Innovators website. It's in the presentation sections, and you'll get the same document we're looking at. If you want to see the video, of course, you can see it on YouTube because that's where it is. Anyway, so at the very end of the talk, I want to play the very end because it talks about the resilience issue. Sort of, it's about right here, I think. So let me press play and get us to listen to that. So
electricity when it's cheaper, like the windmills in Iowa, and get the advantage of that. And it's very, very good for the environment that we buy electricity when it's cheaper because we buy it when it's cleaner. And if we have the economic incentive to do it, we can make money. And even a simple electric water heater, which is this slideshow I was talking about over here, I think, where if we choose a regular electric water heater with a retrofit we're talking about, just regular electric water heater will generate $185 a year income just by changing when you charge it. From charging at any time to charging in the middle of the night, you can get this much income. And that's only available with this time of use rate, which is called CLEP, that I'm trying to propose. And if people get excited about my deep understanding of building science, maybe that'll segue into respect for my ideas and generate a groundswell toward a solution that can help save your money, save the environment. Maybe New Orleans would be a place you can walk in 50 years instead of swim.
Let's hope. The comment that this was fascinating but also overwhelming really just underscores how much of a topic this is that people care about and really want to know more. And we'll try to take deep dives on specific elements of this. This was, incredible, Dr. Katz, that you could give us this big overview. Maybe we could come back and do segments.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump out of this because we're not interested in listening how I'm lauded, and instead try to jump to the other video, which is the video from Netflix. So let me try to get there, and I have the windows open for that. Here's the Netflix video, and as I again remind you, this is the Katrina Come Hell and High Water video It's a three-part series. I think the by far the most important one to watch is the third one. And I'm focusing on how to build a home so it's resilient in this particular part of the talk. Okay.
Its footing and showing an incredible amount of resilience. If we can save the Ragged Boot Heel of Louisiana from climate and New Orleans disintegration, then that's a big message for the rest of the country.
We were the heroes of the Ninth Ward, and he was one of those heroes. Brad Pitt, the savior of the Ninth Ward, he was our savior, and he brought this new project, this green project, this carbon footprint replacement project to our community, and he brought in 150 of those families, built 120 houses.
Because this ultimately is not about me. It's not even about all the people who have been working so hard on it.
I'm pausing right here because when Global Green presented this idea to the building science community and the architects, we jumped on it. When I say we, Christopher Faust jumped on it, and other members of some of the people who are active in our list, we jumped on it and we said, we want to compete. We want to be helping design the home that's replicated in New Orleans. And it turned out the science didn't prevail. What prevailed is that someone showed up at the meeting when they voted and served fried chicken. And that's the team that won. And the team was from New York. And they didn't know anything about New Orleans climate. But Brad Pitt, who doesn't even suggest that he knows anything about building science, let this committee run by Global Green make the decision, and they went with the proposal by the people in New York. And look what happened. It's not that much to play.
It's truly about the residents of New Orleans, and residents like Mr. Robert Green. And at this point, I'd like to introduce my friend Robert Green.
He was going to join in, but my name is Brittany Robbins, and this is my Make It Right home. I've been here since 2015. They offered a lot of support. They marketed specifically to teachers and first responders, and obviously people who were living in the Ninth Ward before Katrina.
You live in the Ninth Ward
I
before?
wasn't, and I had a house.
Not even $45?
Nah, so I paid $1,500 up front and $43 on the back end, and I had a house.
The beautiful houses began to have problems.
Additionally, there was some odd plumbing issue with my guest bathroom. I didn't know it at the time, but every time someone took a shower, the water would leak from a pipe and then it would form in the subfloor and leak into the guest bedroom. It would basically cost $8,000 to repair because the way the floors are all, the panels all interlocked with each other, they would have to tear up the bedroom and then half of the hallway. So I basically couldn't live in it for a bit. The initial floor itself is made of some sort of composite. So when it gets wet,
something you never do in New Orleans, build buildings out of that kind of stuff because it can't tolerate moisture.
it gets damp, it starts to break itself down.
According to the Timbersill website, this new innovative wood is made without chemicals, so it's better for the environment. But residents say the problem is it seems it can't withstand water. That's a big problem in a place like New Orleans.
So a few months ago, I was in the bathroom and my leg fell through the floor.
Your leg
Yes.
went through the floor.
My leg went through the floor. I could see straight into the ground. So I have to now take my bathroom apart and then
Notice that picture shows there's no closed crawl space. All the moisture from underneath the house has the same dew point as outside. Like right now, it's over 80 degrees. You cool the house below 80 degrees and you force moisture through the floor, rotting the floor. And these people who built this house and designed it do not understand that.
rebuild it.
Since I bought the house in 2015, we've spent about $20,000 on repairs. A few winters ago, the heat went out. We had a newborn baby. And it was like, we got to figure something out. Like, we can't be in a house with space heaters with a newborn baby. So we did some research and we just had to come up with the money and replace it because there was no other way that we are going to be able to keep living in the house.
The foundation is actually gone. I have a foundation that's going to cost $50,000.
How much?
$50,000 just to replace the foundation.
A 5-year-old house was unlivable because of water intrusion. That house isn't there. That was my first demolition. as this house was being demolished, I walked through the neighborhood and said, okay, what's my next one? And that was a home on Renee that had been unlivable the first year.
My name is India King Robbins. I'm the wife and partner of Brittany Robbins. We live here in the Lower Ninth Ward. I've been living here since 2016.
I think that the intention behind what Make It Right did, I think that when it started, the intentions were true. Like they just wanted to give people places to live.
Then what happened?
They didn't do it right. Like even this playground right here, when I bought this house, I was like, yes, I'm gonna have a playground across the street and my daughter can play.
Welcome to the Make It Right playground here in the Lower Ninth Ward. We're here today to do some landscaping work on our playground. So Hyatt employees came out and helped us plant some trees and clean up this playground, which is used every day by kids from the Lower Ninth Ward. So we're very excited about the opportunity and the partnership.
That thing's so raggedy. It's so unsafe. Like people used to be doing drugs at that playground. Like I would never let my daughter go over there.
Now, when you had these problems, was it a person you could go to and make aware of it, or?
No. When I first moved in 2015, Make It Right was still in existence. So they had a little office a few blocks away, where you could go to them, speak to them. They would have community meetings. It felt like a really strong community. But about a year in, they just kind of faded out of existence. And I think it's because they knew what was coming down the pipe.
In 2018, attorney Ron Austin filed a lawsuit against Make It Right. Austin says the foundation's legal team has been defending, denying, and delaying the process.
My name is William Bridge, and I am the CEO of Global Green. The lawsuit is a group of homeowners that own the properties of Make It Right that are upset about the condition of the homes, and it's affecting their standard of living and it's affecting their health, and they just want it fixed.
Well, I guess I got some explaining to do.
When the lawsuit came up and he made a settlement of $20 million and we were at the table to collect, he walked away from that settlement. He walked away from his agreement. He left us standing holding these houses, but all the problems that they have.
I think Blood probably didn't know half of what was going on. He's a good man. I spent about 4 hours with him in October last.
This guy is the executive director of Global Green, and they didn't know what was going on. And we gave them plenty of notice and they ignored us. Christopher Faust was on the team, we can tell you.
He was surrounded by a group of people that were building homes that I think got in over their head.
The situation now is we are left holding the bag. We don't have the same support we had when he came down here. And I feel like I was used. I feel like I was betrayed. And now I'm left with a house that's going to fall apart one day.
So many things happening here. Why have you stayed?
I'm invested. I still took out a $145,000 loan. If I said I give up and try to sell it, I'll probably have to sell it under what it's worth. Aside from all the challenges, we love it here. We're raising a family here and I want to stay here. We're just really hoping that the conditions can change in the city and in our community.
You folks have taken a...
Okay, I'll stop here because I want to point out it didn't have to be this way. And I took on a project 4 years ago to restore a 140-year-old house. And I'm going to segue to there. Remember, in the meeting description, I said we're talking about 3 kinds of resilience. The resilience that was talked about exclusively in the New Orleans City Council meeting is how are we going to get electricity during the 4 or 5 or maybe a week after a storm, which occurs once every 10 years. That's all we're talking about. What's real, it's way, way, way more important to build a home that can withstand our climate, which wasn't even on their agenda. And then even bigger is how do you build a home that will get us through, give us an outside chance of slowing down climate change. And so I segue to the thing that I did on this house. So if we go to the Zillow website, which I've gotten here, I'm not sure if it's already up here or it's not. I could get to it easily by just clicking on it. I think this is it. Yeah. So this is the Zillow website. And it shows the house here, what it looks like in the front. And there's actually some more pictures I have. And this is the inside of the house. This house was built in 1880, 140 years ago. And you say, well, it's 145 years ago. That's not the point. I don't really know it's exactly 1880, so it's 140. And this is the front of the house. It's completely put back together. These are the inside pictures. Remember, these pictures aren't for building sites. This is for renting, so people would come rent the house. And one of the features that I wanted to emphasize is this picture from the side. This picture shows that this home has a closed crawl space. I'll try and make it bigger so you can see it. Or actually I have another picture and another group of pictures I have over here. So I went to the house today to emphasize this picture. I'm going to make this one really big if I can. And if you look at it, you can see the home has a closed crawl space. Originally an open crawl space. All these areas between the piers are closed off. You can see it better here because that one's light colored. A lot of these others got darker. And there's literally a piece of materials, hardy board, going from pier to pier. So all the way around the pier, the crawl space is closed. So if I go to a slightly different view, I'm going to show you what it looks like in the crawl space. I'm going to go over here, and this is a view in the crawl space. And it's not very pretty because, you know, there is some water on the ground. However, you're going to see other pictures of the crawl space. Let me see if I can get to the other pictures over here. Okay. These are pictures taken in the crawl space today at the end of the summer. And all of these condensate pipes from the ductless mini splits dumped into this crawl space, and there's a residual about 10 gallons of water. You'd say, oh, that's a disaster. On the contrary, it's a success because these air conditioners probably put 2 to 5 gallons of water each day, and throughout the whole summer, this is the residual. I actually knocked on these walls. These walls are all solid. None of them have any mold concentrations on them. And it looks like a disaster, but it's actually a success. Some of these condensate lines should have been actually put in these drains, and that would have decreased the amount of water that got in the ground, but it never caused a problem. These are more pictures of the crawl space. It looks at first like it's a problem, but you can see it's bone dry all the way through here. The spiders love it, and that's what it looks like. Okay, and I did that today to show you that you can build something right and it's durable. And you don't have to build a new building to show how to do it. You can do it with a 140-year-old building. So and then this segues to pictures that I have inside the building, which is not so much the point. But I do want to show you some of the features of the building, which make it very, very important. So instead of going to these pictures per se, I want to go to the document. It's the same document that's at the end of the email. It was the attachment. So this list of key features of 3430 Dryden Street was put together by my wife and I in order to help the tenant, first to attract the tenant, and secondly, after the tenant moves in, to get them to understand what the features are. And the first feature right here, I'm going to explain this with pictures. It says there are 5 screen windows and 4 pairs of exterior shutters that are fully operable from the inside. You may not realize how incredibly unusual that is. So in the pictures that you saw before of the house, okay, let me try to get over there. In this set of pictures over here, you see that there's shutters on the windows. See, there's 4 pairs of shutters. Now, normally shutters can only be opened from the outside. Why? Because there's a screen between the windows and the sashes, so you can't access those shutters. But in fact, I'm going to show you with the pictures I took today. I'm just trying to get there. This is one of the pictures in the series, so I can get it to go. Okay. So what I did was go backwards. I stepped back and took a picture of the whole window. I'm inside the first bedroom from the front of the house, which, by the way, I can show you among these pictures which room that is, but it doesn't really matter. Okay. You can see it's a room like this room where this is the same window that we're talking about, viewed from a different angle. Okay. This is the window. Let me show you the window before it's opened. Okay. This is before it's opened. And if you look closer in the picture, you can see me in the reflection in the mirror. I did all this manipulation of this window with one hand. The other hand was holding the camera. So what did I do? I walked up to the window and opened the bottom sash and I lowered the top sash. And you might think, whoa, what's the big deal about that? Well, I guarantee if you walk around New Orleans, you won't find 5% of the windows in New Orleans are operated because people live in homes that they condition all the time. Not only do these windows open, they can be open with one hand. And then I walked up to the bottom of the window and you can see the screen. And this screen has a little hatch right here, which I invented. And I'm going to show you how you open this window. How do I open the shutters even though there's a screen in the way? So the first thing I do is I lift that bar, which is a little thing that's hanging on the shutters. I lift it out the way, which gives me access to these shutter latches. And then I open up a shutter latch, as you can see I've done. And then I push the shutter off to the right, and then I push the shutter off to the left. I've just opened the window from the inside without having to move the screen. And now I'm going to close it. I put my hand in and I push the window up. If you are familiar with these shutters, they hold in place for gravity. You lift it a little bit and then you can operate it. And I close the left shutter as I'm showing you, and then I close the right shutter the same way. I'm back to where I was before. I close the latch, put the hatch down on the screen, and I close the windows. So that's what I was talking about before, the features of this home. Going back to it, get to this window. There are 5 screen windows, 4 pairs of exterior shutters are fully operable from the inside. Why is this a big deal? Because those windows are on the east side of the house. When the sun rises, the house would be full of heat, which otherwise is deflected by the shutters. The shutters keep the home cool because they shade the house. In the wintertime, if you want to open it, you can bring in the heat. But with the shutters closed, the criminal doesn't know the windows are open, which turns out to be very important later on in this discussion. This is what it means to design a home properly. I didn't design the homes from scratch and build a home, which these people had millions of dollars to do. These people from New York. I took an existing home and I restored it, and it meets the historic restoration tax credit requirements. I put in LED lamps, which I think maybe won't impress you because you guys know what that is. But the exhaust fans are real important. So if you run an exhaust fan, and this should not be surprising to you, but it's an important comment. If you run an exhaust fan near an open bedroom window, it will pull in a lot of outside air. This works best if you leave the door to the bathroom open and the other door to the bathroom closed. And this is doing at a time when the AC isn't needed. Okay, so when it's spring or fall in New Orleans, you can do that. But you can't do that unless you can do what I just showed you to do with the window. Why? Because the window isn't open. And if you left the window open in New Orleans, crime-ridden New Orleans, you would be inviting criminals. But because of the way I did it, the criminals can't tell the window's open. And even if they did know it was open, they couldn't get past the shutters. So this lowers your cooling and heating bill to virtually zero for half the year. There's one fact right there. How do you get the exhaust fan to do that? Well, you have an exhaust fan in your bathroom. As long as there's 2 adjacent rooms, and I can show you in this geometry over here from the actual pictures of the building. If we go from the very front, okay, this is the living room, and then this is the kitchen, and this is the first bedroom. I'm sorry, this is another view of the kitchen, another view of the kitchen, another view of the living room. And then this is the front bedroom, the same room we were looking at the window. And just past the front bedroom is the bathroom. And on the wall of this bathroom, I'll show you the switches shortly, is a switch that turns on the exhaust fan. And it doesn't just turn it on, it turns it on either on or in a timed way. So if that fan is turned on and the windows are set up like I want to, in the springtime or the summer, I can ventilate the house, bring it down if the weather's nice, without subjecting it to the crime-ridden neighborhood. So that happens in the front bathroom. It also happens in the master bathroom. Okay, so so that goes on with that. I'm go back to this these features. I don't know why this particular one is in red. Doesn't matter. Let me see if I can find the one That's not in red. That's probably this one. Okay, so what happens if it is a time when the air conditioner's on, like in the summertime, and you're cooling the house with your air conditioners, but you don't want the humidity in the house to stay in the house or the odor in the house when you use the toilet. So you run an exhaust fan, but it has to remove odors and excess moisture, but also condition air. So the running time must be limited to short intervals. You need a fan switch that will operate at short intervals. And I have that in my display of pictures over here. Let me see, get to it over here. Okay, no, it's not it. Where is that? Let's see. Here is it. Okay, so this is pictures from Dry Street, and one of them is a picture of the fan switch. Where is it? It's right here. Here it is. You know, that's a switch on the wall. That's a switch where one switch turns on the light and one turns on the fan. That's not it. There's another one. Let's see. Maybe it's here. This is it, I think. No. I can't find the switch. Anyway, the switch has a timer on it. You can set it to operate on or for a certain amount of time. Let's see if I can find it. This might be it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, let me blow that up so you can see it. Make it a little bigger. Say, and over here. This is a fan switch. It can be set to on, or it can be set to run for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, or 35 minutes. Why would you use this fan this way? You use the fan this way because you want to solve the moisture problem, the very problem that wasn't solved by the Make It Right people, okay? So that you can run the exhaust fan only where you need it to get rid of the smell or the excess moisture. And I will tell you, the previous tenant didn't use this fan, and the paint delaminated. And that's why the light switches have to have this functionality. It needs to be on or set for shorter time periods. These are key features of the house that make it improve its energy use and protect it from resilience problems. Okay, then I talk about the water heater, which doubles as an air conditioner, which can provide as much cooling, maybe to cool the bedroom. It uses 1/4 as much energy, saving around $300 a year compared to a regular tanked water heater. But even better than that, okay, it can be Wi-Fi controlled, which means you can use it with CLEP. You can use their electricity to only buy electricity when it's cheap. There's also magnetic induction range, which is twice as efficient for cooking. Okay, and that's talked about here as well. And then there are 2 rolling base cabinets, and the air conditioners are all ductless mini splits, and you can sort of see that on the wall here, because actually I don't see on anyone. Here's one right here. In this picture, right behind here is a ductless mini split. These are up in the air, and they're so high that the dirt doesn't get to it, so the filters almost never get dirty because the air speed they generate is so slow, it can't take the dust off the floor. And so you don't have dirty filters. Imagine that, compare that to a ducted system where the filters got all fouled up. And so you have a system and it's zoned so you can cool one room and not another room. And you can change one from one temperature to another temperature. So all these things are features of what it takes to make a home really energy efficient and durable. But because we talked about the features we were talked about with the Wi-Fi control, this home can do the thing that I said before it was should do. Namely, it could see if I find this. Where was I? It was this one, I think. Here. Go back to this one. I've jumped out of, I apologize, I've jumped out of the Gmail thing. I've got to bring it onto this screen so I can get there and go to the set, not primary, and go to the thing we were looking at, which was this one right here, and remind you where we're going. We're talking about we started off talking about homes that are older homes that have major problems, but they're durable, but they're not energy efficient. When you try to make them energy efficient and you don't watch what you do, you ruin the resilience of the house. Okay, but this home that I built, okay, is a home that can do everything. Not only does it provide a low energy footprint, okay, so that it would help the problem with the resilience. Not only does it have resilience to the New Orleans climate, even though it wasn't built to this, we didn't spend $1 million building it. We just retrofitted an existing home. And it also responds to the climate issue by allowing us to use CLEP, or its new name ProRate, to buy and sell electricity, so that we can address the problem by means of a meager success, which means promoting actions that have a major effect locally that can be exported to many other places, that is scaled, so that our success can be repeated enough times to have significant global impacts on slowing can help to reverse climate change. All that is done by this same house. Okay. I wanted to connect the dots to you instead of making you go through all the details. And so now I want to invite comments. And once we get to a little bit of time left over, Tor can say what he wants to say. Okay. Brendan, you don't have your audio on.
Yeah, that's okay. How are you doing?
Okay. So did you want to comment about what you heard?
No, I'm really glad that you shared. I'm glad that you weaved in the Katrina Come Hell and High Water documentary with the your example of a single home and what that looks like with energy efficiency. I think it was good to weave in both several of those subjects.
I felt like I really needed to do something to remind us that this is the 20th anniversary, literally the 20th of August. Were you here then, Brendan, for Katrina?
My brother-in-law was. I was not.
Well, Dick Schmidt was. He's also with us. So we lived through that. In fact, Dick and I were here for the big one from 1965 when Betsy came, and 1,000 people died in their homes as well. And so we know what it is like to live here. We know what we have to face. So I wanted to tie the energy issues that we talk about regularly with the key issue of what's going on this weekend, so that people will make the connection. And I hope I made that connection. Okay. Did you want to say something, Dick? I know Tor does, so I want to give him a little bit of time.
I only want to ask you a question, Myron. I looked at the pictures from the real estate that were displayed, and I read the Word document, and I tried to stay up with it. But the question that comes to mind, and I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench into everything you've spent so much time and money on, but how are you going to educate tenants to be as bright as you are and to be up to par on getting things open and closed and turned on and off? How can that possibly happen?
Just because they want to lower their utility bill. It's as simple as that. They don't have to understand anything. The very last thing on the list that you had a chance to look at, maybe I can still on the screen and I can bring it up. Okay. So the very last thing says, this is an energy efficient lease. And the landlord is saying to the tenant, if you lower your bill below $200 a month, we'll split the savings. And I put that in the lease.
I saw that, Myron. But are they going to, tenants in general, are they going to take advantage of that?
Well, they can, or they don't have to. The bottom line is, I'm trying to practice what I preach. I want the dollar bill, the greenness of the dollar bill, to push people to do the greenness that they don't know how to do, or they're not interested in, or they won't sacrifice their comfort for. So what we're talking about is saving money. They may or may not care about the environment, but almost everybody cares about saving money. This is the third set of tenants I've had at this apartment. Every one of them have met this and exceeded the standard and got money back after 6 months. So yes, it works.
Wonderful.
They've gotten their bill below $200 a month on average for 6 months.
Myron, Myron, is there a way to track the amount saved and then maybe get permission to be able to publish your findings over the years of how much was saved per month and then
I imagine my tenants won't mind. I
yeah.
don't have to name them in order to have the bills. I'm paying both the water and electric bills. There's no gas bill for this home. It doesn't use gas. So I know the total amount of water and electricity, and therefore I have the records. Okay. But anyway, I don't want to cut off Tor's chance to talk. Tor, please jump in. Please try to tie it into what we're talking about tonight, and then go for wherever you want to go. Okay. And I'm going to turn off share and let
Yeah, I'll give Tor co-host to share as well.
I'm gonna stop my share. I don't know how to do that. Stop my share. Help me stop my share. Oh, here it is. Good, found it. Okay. Now I'm not sharing, I think. So Tor, so you can do it if you want.
Okay. Your screen's still up.
Oh, it is? I can try again.
Yeah.
All right. I took it down.
I mean, I've been just fishing around for things that I think will be meaningful. And I simplified this chart. Let me know if you can see it.
I can
It's
definitely
got,
see a chart. Yeah.
yeah, it's 3 lines. This is 2005. Oh, it's actually 1992. I don't know how that happened. It says it's 2005. I think there might be some mislabeling on this. But what I really want to point out is that in the 20 years since Katrina, sea level temperatures are up almost a degree Celsius. And that is my reminder of how much change has happened over that period of time globally. And there's been substantial technology changes, there's been substantial demographic changes. And I'm not trying to scare you with all this information. It just, I struggle to express to the wider community of GNOICC and ProRate how much change there's been in the background. Your motivation to improve the efficiency and the quality of the houses is admirable. It's right on target. My uncle did the same thing very much. He'd buy a rundown house and he'd fix it up. And that was entirely appropriate from that period from 1980 to about 2005 when Katrina hit. And so much of the things about ProRate are all designed about making us better prepared for the next Katrina, which I think is spot on and admirable. But there's these new players that weren't there 20 years ago. And maybe the most formative, I mean, I'll just paraphrase it. I had a dialogue with one of the top scientists, a climate scientist, and I showed the week of anomalous temperatures out of Antarctica. And they just said, okay, we are now in a tipping point situation because the model is so broken as predicting the poles that we can no longer trust the models. Now, that is the air people, the people in the gases. The oceanographers I work with and the geologists I work with, they're all saying, no, this model fits with what we were expecting. So if I just extend that thinking out even a little bit, I come up with a different answer. I see a level of change sweeping the entire Gulf Coast and eastern seaboard that you really never have had before. And I don't see that in a punitive way or trying to scare you away. It's more like what makes sense under this new reality that I see impressing itself. And I'll just leave it there.
I just want to tell you, I couldn't be more pessimistic about the future of New Orleans. Whether we look at it from a global perspective or the fact that New Orleans, relative to sea level, is dropping a half inch to an inch a year. And the very structure that we just spent something like $14 billion on since Katrina to protect the city is actually sinking faster. Okay, so
I thought it was 500. I saw. I think it was the New York Times or Forbes. I think they said 515 billion in the last 10 years.
I don't think it was. I think it depends on what you think they're spending the money on. But regardless of this, that superhuman effort to try to save New Orleans for next couple decades may not even work for that. You know, New Orleans is toast. The only thing that makes us be talking about this in this environment is to say, what can we do? What we can do, as I said, is try to create models that work that can be scaled to help solve the problem for someone else. New Orleans is not going to be here. I have faced that. I don't know how I'm going to take the action because this is where I was born. This is where my parents were born. And I put all this effort into the shotgun double and other ones as well. And I think there's super solutions. We did not have to inflict those poor African American people to what happened and make it right, which was certainly not right. And good intentions without good science is pretty foolishness. Okay, that doesn't mean that we throw up our hands and do nothing. In fact, Margaret Mead said that the only major solutions that's ever been successful on this in the world has always started locally somewhere. Okay, and I know I've made these local contributions. I'm hoping what I'm doing is going to influence some member of the city council or their staff who might be watching a recording of this right now and say, there are a few people who are leaders who understand how things work and how they might work so that New Orleans could be a leader for a while. Okay. And so that is what I'm talking about. I know Brendan had to leave to another meeting at 9 o'clock.
No, it's okay. I'm interested in what Tori's going to share.
This is about Africa, again, this is a side project. This is today's reading of Africa and the anomaly. And what I'm beginning to track this because there's some really anomalous patterns. Africa is the only major continent that spans the equator. And you're getting kind of this bookends effect. You get a cold band, you get a cold band, you get a hot band, you get hot bands. This is what really caught my attention because you reach this, you're reaching 4 sigma, solidly 4 sigma there in Libya. Yesterday it was in Egypt. I actually captured that as well. And that really raised some weird questions like, why is there a drought in Nigeria along this coast? Zaire is as soaked as you get. Two, it's being dry where it's supposed to be wet, and it's being wet where it's supposed to be dry. The winds, which again, this gets back into astrophysics, the winds are accelerating. So it makes sense. It's pushing air off the coast inland, and it's pushing it into Libya. So you're going to getting the shoving game around the globe. The high pressures, again, you're getting into 2, sometimes 3 sigma all over the world. But it has this curious line right through the middle of Africa. If you look at the the middle of the atmosphere, this is the 500 millibar level. Again, this is 3 and 4 sigma over here. So I just pointed out, I'm studying this effect on Africa. And you see, normal weather is between 1 and 2 sigma. That's 95% of what you should see. Rarely a 3 sigma. And you know, I'm looking at the Mediterranean because these are contained bodies of water. At one point, the Mediterranean was coming in at 9 degrees Celsius hotter than normal. Again, this part of this area up here, it's very shallow, so it's not big. They're about 11 degrees Celsius hotter than normal. But it's hot here, it's cold here, it's hot there.
Sorry, we need to shut the meeting down already. Please make a concluding comment and so we can end the meeting.
Feel free to send out those documents, just like the last anomaly for Antarctica as well, if you want. The discussion maybe. And thank you everybody for attending, and Richard submitted as well. I think there's really good participation. Really great topics to talk about.
I hope you guys
Thank you so
found what I
much.
presented vaguely coherent. I
Oh,
was
you did great.
Yeah,
You did absolutely great. Brilliant,
easy to
Mark.
follow.
Again, that
Yeah, complex ideas, simple language. It came across really well.
yeah.
okay. Well, thank you very much because it was tough. I can tell you
I
that.
know. I see the work you've been doing,
Good
and
stuff.
I'm not trying in any way to cast shade on that. It's just that's the amount of change I've seen over the last 20 years.
I agree with you. I think that I've got the great ideas. No one's listening. I'm hoping to get people to listen. That's what these videos are about. And your comment punctuates the importance of what I'm talking about. So it was a good team effort.
Really good.
And
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you
going to
guys.
stop the recording and then we can chit chat a little bit.
Okay.